Hi, I'm Brian Goulet of gouletpens.com, and today I'm going to talk to you about top 10 sheening inks. Now, this is kind of an arbitrary list that we've thrown together here at Goulet, but we do want to feature basically inks that have this kind of special characteristic to them. These are inks that have really kind of come in to be popular in the last couple of years. Inks that have basically some kind of glitter or some kind of shimmer to them that's maybe a different color than the primary color of the ink. And not a lot of fountain pen inks have these, so the ones that do are really kind of special. So I want to highlight some of the best ones that we found that have this quality to them. So there are some special things to note about inks that have a heavy sheen. For one is they are a little higher maintenance in the pen, so you may have to clean them a little more regularly, and you may have some flow issues in certain pens, especially when you're using them in very fine nibs. It tends to work better in broader, wetter pens. That also is going to bring out more of the sheen factor to them, because the more ink you put down, the more that sheen is going to come out. And I can't stress enough how important the paper is when you're dealing with these sheening inks. If you're using a really absorbent paper, it's going to basically just knock out all of the sheening qualities of these inks, and you'll be writing with it and you'll be like, what's so special about this ink? You know, it's kind of a flat color. Well, you got to have a very ink resistant paper, so that matters tremendously. The best paper that I've ever seen for sheening inks is Tomoé River. It's a very thin, very ink resistant paper, but also ones like Rhodion and Clairefontaine do really well to help bring out that sheen too. Now, there is a little bit longer dry time for some of these, especially if you have a tendency to use them on these ink-resistant papers. So you just want to watch out for that, especially if you have a propensity for smearing, if you're left-handed, or if you like to write quickly and turn your page. You just want to make sure you're leaving for a little extra dry time there. And then the last thing you want to be careful of is you want to shake the bottle before you use it for most of these inks, especially the ones that actually have a particulate in them. You want to make sure that the stuff's not all settled down at the bottom. So when you go to ink up your pen, just shake the bottle really good so all the stuff gets in suspension before you fill your pen. So I got to kick off this list with actually a series of 4 different inks that are all part of the Herbin 1670 Anniversary Edition inks. And they are really kind of like the flagship sheening inks here. And the top one that I have, and this list is not in like an exactly particular order, but the one that's really getting a lot of attention right now as I'm shooting this video is Emerald of Chivor. It's a new color that Herbin just came out, the 4th in their series, and it is just some of the craziest ink that I've ever seen. It's a teal color, so kind of like a greenish blue that has a really heavy gold sparkle to it with an intense kind of red sheen, especially when you use it on that really ink-resistant paper. It comes in this really kind of cool looking Anniversary Edition bottle that's different from Herbin's normal line of ink bottles, and it's a 50 ml bottle for $26. Next one is Herbin Stormy Gray. This is another part of their 1670 Anniversary ink. This one doesn't have so much of an alternate color in the sheen, but it does have a very noticeable kind of gold sparkle to it. So it's a gray with a gold sparkle, just a really interesting combination. And it's actually a really good gray too, because grays can kind of be all over the place. Really solid gray color. This ink was extremely popular when it first came out several months ago, and it kind of stayed really popular as well. I think because it's kind of just an interesting gray, as hard as that is to make. And this one is also $26 for a 50 ml bottle. Okay, I'm going to keep on going down the list now. There's Herbin Blue Ocean. This was the second of the 1670 series to come out from Herbin, and when it originally came out, it actually didn't have any sparkle or sheen to it at all. It was just kind of a plain blue, and because it was only the second in the series, I think people were kind of expecting it to have a sparkle, so it kind of came out and everybody was a little bit disappointed, including myself, that it didn't have anything like that. Well, a couple of years went by and Herbin revived the ink and went ahead and put sparkle in it. So this was actually after Stormy Gray had come out. They went ahead and put a gold sparkle in Blue Ocean. So now all the Blue Ocean that's coming out has a very intense kind of gold sparkliness to it, just like Stormy Gray does. So if you like a blue, it's kind of a darker blue that leans a little bit purple, and then it has that gold sparkle to it. Really interesting color. So nice to kind of round out the line. It seems like the 1670 line is all going to be kind of sparkly, so that's kind of neat to see. So this one also $26 for a 50 ml bottle. Okay, and this one's kind of last, but it was also first that kind of kicked off the sheening craze, but this is Herbin Rouge Hematite. So this is a hematite color, so it's kind of a red with a little bit of a hint of brown to it. And this one was the first in Herbin's series to come out. And actually, when it originally came out in 2010, it was to celebrate the anniversary, the 340th anniversary of Herbin, which they started in 1670, so you're seeing where that name is coming from. But when they originally came out with it, it was supposed to be only in 2010, and that was it. But it was so overwhelmingly popular that they continued to make it and expanded the line of the series. So you can thank Rouge Hematite here for all of the additional colors that Jeroboam has come out because of the popularity of this ink. So it's a really nice red color, has a very kind of intense gold, almost kind of a greenish gold sheen to it. Very interesting color. There was nothing else like it when it came out, and this one really kind of kicked off the craze. So this one also $26 for a 50 ml bottle. All right, so now we're kind of getting away from some of the more sparkly ones. We're getting to ones with kind of a more conventional sheen, if you can call it that. This color is one of my all-time favorites, Diamine Majestic Blue. And this is a very, very dark blue with a red sheen, very kind of like a red, almost like a pinkish sheen. So it doesn't have any glitter to it necessarily, so if you're looking straight at it, it almost looks kind of blue, but then when you hold it up more of an angle and the light kind of shines on it, it hits that red and it really just kind of pops. And I love this ink. It does have a little more of a propensity for smearing than your normal inks, and the dry time is pretty long on it, but I love it to death. And it's a really fantastic color if you like kind of that heavy sheen thing. So you can check it out. You get an 80 ml bottle of this for $14.95. All right, this next one is actually very similar to Diamine Majestic Blue. It's a dark blue with kind of a red sheen. This is Private Reserve Electric DC Blue. Another great color. This one doesn't have quite as long a dry time, but it does have a little bit more propensity to feather on some papers, so you may want to kind of test this one out. But it's a nice solid color. I like it a lot. And you can check it out. It's $11 for a 66 milliliter bottle. All right, this next one is Diamine Sherwood Green. So this is a dark green that has a little bit of a red sheen to it. And depending on how much ink is being put down on the page, it actually can kind of shade really well from like a nice green to a black. So if you like a darker green, this is a good choice, and it's got kind of a red sheen. Just really an interesting kind of color, unique for most greens. So coming from Diamine, this is going to be available in an 80 ml bottle for $14.95. This next one is a little bit more of a conventional ink, so you're not going to have as crazy of properties with this one. This is Rohrer and Klingner Alt-Goldgrun. Whether I say that right, I don't know. I'm pretty good at butchering foreign names, but anyway, this is a really kind of unique ink, kind of like an olive green, but it really kind of bounces between like a yellow to a green to a brown, depending on how wet it's being put on the page. It is a fairly wet ink, so the absorbency of the paper will kind of determine a little bit of what color it looks like, but it does have a little bit of a sheen to it when you bring out the more ink-resistant papers. So this one comes in a 50 ml bottle for $12. This next ink is a really nice one, Pilot Iroshizuku Yama-Budo. So this is kind of a magenta color, a very bold color, and it comes in just a completely gorgeous Pilot bottle as well. So the presentation is really nice, but it's a very popular color. It's got a lot of punch to it, but when you put it down really heavy and it pools up, it's got a nice kind of like yellowish goldish sheen to it. So that's really interesting when you put it down nice and heavy. Nice thing about this one though is it's a little bit more of a conventional ink, so the dry time is a lot faster and the maintenance is much lower than you would have on these heavy sheening inks. So if you want some of these properties but without a lot of the fuss, Yama-Budo might be up your alley. So you can check this one out for $28 in a 50 ml bottle. Last ink on the list here is Pilot Iroshizuku Tsutsuji. This is less of a magenta, a little bit more of a pink color. And this one, there's some differing opinions as to whether it's really kind of more of a pink or a blush, like a red color or something like that. It kind of varies a little bit depending on the paper that you're using. So this is an interesting one that may get a little bit of variation. It does have some sparkle to it when you put it down really heavy. But it's, again, kind of like Yama-Budo. It's a little more of a conventional fountain pen ink, so the dry time is going to be faster and it's going to be less maintenance than some of these heavy sheening inks. But still, it's one of those to kind of have in the back pocket. When you want to get some sheen, you can on the right paper with the right pen kind of thing. But it's still nice as a conventional ink. You can get this one for $28 in a 50 ml gorgeous Pilot bottle. One thing I did want to point out, literally just a couple of days ago before I shot this video, Diamine released that they are coming out with 10 shimmer-tastic inks that are going to be basically inks that would fit right into a video like this. So I haven't seen any of them yet, I've just heard them talked about, but expect that in fall of 2015 you're going to see Diamine coming out with inks very much that have this kind of sparkly, glittery thing going on. So have that on your radar if this kind of stuff really excites you, and certainly we'll be talking about it more at Goulet. And then when we can get our hands on it, we most certainly will. As for the other inks here, if you're interested in any of these, if you notice they tend to be a little bit on the more expensive end, so I would definitely recommend you try out some samples, especially because these inks are definitely not your conventional fountain pen inks. So try out some samples if you don't want to commit to a full bottle of it, but they are some pretty interesting inks to play around with. So that's it for this video. If you have any questions, you can feel free to ask on YouTube or on the blog. You can check out more information about all of these on gouletpens.com, and you can order them there as well, you know, if that happens to be your thing. So thanks so much for watching, and right on.